it is inauguration today, and Donald Trump is your 47th president of the United States. But a long journey has been had for Snoop Dogg and many other rappers who just a few years ago were being highly critical of him. Snoop Dogg going as far as shooting a fake version of Donald Trump in a music video. Well, he performed at the Crypto Ball, which was a Donald Trump event, along with rappers like Rick Ross. And then Nelly is performing at the inauguration. And look, Soulja Boy showed up as well. All of these rappers, not Nelly, but the other ones, all of them have been highly critical of Donald Trump in the past, but are now being dragged by both sides, because when you try to make everybody happy, you usually end up making nobody happy, are being dragged for either changing their views or selling out, depending on who you ask.
I think, well, two things are happening. The first is these people realize that catering to the mob is never enough. There's always going to be more demands. They're like, fine, we hate Trump, but that wasn't enough. So finally, they're like, okay, I'm just done. The other thing is like what Tim Pool says when he's right on the money with this one, where he's like, hey, Trump won the popular vote. He is the mandate. It's the popular culture is now supporting Trump, right? He won the House, the Senate, presidency, the popular vote, right? It is, you know, the majority of people are supporting Trump. And so it's trendy. It's trendy to be on his side. You know, I just hope they're genuine.
We're seeing I don't think they're genuine. But here's the thing. I don't actually expect, maybe it's just my cynical side, but I don't expect honest reactions from anyone in Hollywood because their public image is tied to their bank account.
Right.
So I expect them to move whichever way the cultural winds are shifting. That's perfectly normal. I'm not saying that that's right, and certainly we're going to talk about that because a lot of look, there were a lot of musicians who stuck their necks out for Donald Trump, and did their best to support him to the dismay of the music industry, which in a lot of ways turned their backs on them. And they're critical of these choices because they feel like perhaps other artists should have been invited to go on these events. That may be true.
Yeah.
So I just remember in 2017, Trump responded to the music video and he says, can you imagine what the outcry would be if Snoop Dogg, failing career and all, had aimed and fired a gun at President Obama? Jail time, he wrote.
For real.
Yeah.
Imagine the backlash.
So the thing is what I think people forgot is that Donald Trump pardoned a friend of his, Michael Harris, who was the dude who helped them start Death Row Records back in the 80s. And so, you know, Snoop said a lot of stuff prior to 2024, but in 2024, he said, he's only done great things for me. He pardoned Michael Harris, so I have nothing but love and respect for Donald Trump, he wrote. And look, that's a big deal. That's a big deal after years of dunking on him. He was on the Shade Room dunking on him back in 2016 and 2017 like that. He called names of other rappers who decided to support him. So I just wonder, like, most people in this space, capitalists who understand how money works, are never gonna, fault somebody for making their money. The problem is, they're only going to do that if you are not ideologically inclined first, right? So if you take no sides on the matter and you will support either side, you'd go and perform for Obama or Biden. You'll also perform for Trump or Vance. That's fine. A capitalist would see no problem in that. However, if you do denigrate one side initially and then try to come back, they're not going to see that as a form of capitalism. They're going to see that as a form of selling out.
Speaking of capitalism, do we know that they're getting paid? Was there an appearance fee for this?
I mean, you have to. He's not getting out of bed for less than a 7-figure check.
Yeah, but Super Bowl performers don't get paid.
This is not the Super Bowl.
I would argue this is
the Crypto Ball.
Okay, I understand
not the
that.
Inauguration.
No, I understand that. But what was the Crypto Ball really? It was the party before the inauguration that every political influencer was at. So this is the Super Bowl, like halftime show, if you will.
I don't buy for a second that he didn't get paid to do it.
Okay,
that's just me personally. There's a 20 here from Alejandro Reyes. Says, as we all know, creative types belong in the gulag, so I guess I'm ambivalent. Look, some people would agree with you. So one of the responses I found, perhaps the most, how would you say this? Endearing was that of Nelly, who comes from a military family. He was born on a military base. Did you see that? Let me pull up his response here. So he says, it don't matter who's in office, the same way that our men and women, our brothers and sisters who protect the country have to go to war and have to put their life on the line for whoever is in office. He says, so if they can put their life on the line for whoever's in office, I damn sure can perform for whoever's in office. Now that to me is more indicative of the sentiment prior to 2016.
Yeah. And I would say that's a pretty normal response. I feel like our reaction to it is weird now because there's so much hate against the guy, and because politics in America, everyone's become so fractured, and like this should be normal. Like we shouldn't be wowed by this. Be like, of course someone's gonna like support the president, and especially if he's from a military background. But now it seems amazing. Says
his aunts and uncles all served in the military, fighting for democracy. And he also spoke directly to his critics, balking at the suggestion that Trump was a white supremacist. He says, I would ask them to show me where he is a white supremacist. The politics for me is over. He won. He's the president. He says he's the commander-in-chief of what I would like to think of as the best country in the world. I love that.
It's good. And I will say, like, when someone is in this position, if you're Nelly or Snoop Dogg and you end up performing at a Trump event and then you get attacked again with these baseless claims like he's a white supremacist or he's gonna take away your rights, well, it's just gonna make them support him more because he's like, I know that's not true. Yeah. You guys are nuts. I don't want anything to do with you guys.
So here are some of the responses that came through. And again, I actually think all of these responses seem to be fairly warranted given the fact that a lot of people on the right felt wrong done by, that they're suddenly embracing the mainstream that was so against him for so long. 5 Times August says, I guess I should have spent the last 4 years smoking weed all day and calling MAGA racist, but I was too busy standing up for freedom of speech, informed consent, and my kids' futures. My mistake. He wrote a bunch of tweets that were all, again, searing, but not untrue in a lot of ways. I don't blame him.
Snoop Dogg is, like, you got to realize, though, Snoop Dogg for some reason got a free pass. Like, he's the only guy that can smoke marijuana in public in every state, like indoors in public.
I mean, I think Willie Nelson gets
yeah. And it's just like the law is like you could go to the most like anti-marijuana place in this country and he'll still be able to smoke there if he's putting on a concert. I don't know why it doesn't apply to him.
John Rich says, what sicko booked Snoop Dogg to play Trump's inauguration? Snoop literally did a mock assassination of Trump in a music video. Am I the only one scratching my head over this? I would say yes, if it wasn't for the fact that a lot of conservatives really, really do deign to be, accepted by the mainstream. They really, really want that. They pretend like they don't, but they do. That's why everyone on the right tends to be like, every time an actor says something not insane, not even like pro whatever they are, just not insane. Like, I always like the cut of that guy's jib, right? It's not like they've ever stopped from that.
It could also be like Snoop Dogg's audience is aging, right? Like I could be
they're
wrong.
They're older than me, most likely. My age or older.
Right. And I don't think Gen Z and Gen Alpha now, like, I don't think they really care about Snoop Dogg that much. So it's like, that's not your bottom line anyway. Those people are not buying your merch. Those people are not going to your concerts. They know who you are, but that's kind of it. It's like why do you even care? And that's who these loud people that are trying to cancel him and stuff for being seen at a Trump event, like, they're all kids. Like, who cares what they think?
So this guy says, I have deleted all Snoop Dogg songs from my playlists. I blocked him from my accounts. I will not listen to his music after I found out that he will be there to perform for the Traitors on Monday. Well, it wasn't on Monday.
There you go. This is exactly my point. How much you want to bet this guy's either deeply unwell or a child? I mean, it's one of the two.
This one says, choosing Snoop Dogg to perform at the inauguration is an aesthetic betrayal of the people who elected Trump. Whoever decided this was a good idea needs to be fired and replaced with someone who understands the moment calls for a band like Creed. I agree. Actually,
well, Trump literally said after his inauguration was finished, he got up and I don't know where he was, but this was today, a few hours ago, and he gave a speech and he said, listen, I went up to Chuck Schumer and I said, hey, it's time we start getting along. It's time we start actually getting things done. It's stupid. It's pointless, this hate that we have for each other. And that's Donald Trump, the leader of the party. If he's saying that it's time to make amends, like, people need to not hold grudges over such petty whatever.
I mean, the thing is, though, is like,
I agree. It's
Look,
not a great look. But
some people are better at that than others.
Right.
Like in a lot of ways, I feel like I've a short memory for stuff like that, and I'm a pretty forgiving person. But I've never begrudged someone who's good at not wanting to get burned a second time.
I feel like people are offended for Trump, and it's like the guy's a grown ass man. Like he's got it, guys. You don't need to be offended on his behalf.
And Rick Ross did the same thing. Rick Ross had a line about Trump and assassination in a song. After
Really?
that. Yeah. So this is nothing new.
That's a little bit different. Like calling for the violence.
No,
right?
it wasn't called. It was. It was coached. It was coached in language that is still music.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
Whatever. I wish everybody could come together, but everybody picked their starting points back in 2016, and we are seeing probably the largest, fastest cultural shift I've ever seen.
I disagree about the starting points thing. I mean, we saw in the last 3 years that the MAGA party, the Republican Party, it's a big tent now, right? You've got they're welcoming people like Tulsi, Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk. Like they're people that weren't historically pro-Trump.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm saying that a lot of people picked their places in 2016, and a lot of other people aren't going to be willing to forgive them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, screw those people.
But we live in a time now that's where people feel it's dangerous to be naive or to be perceived as naive. It's why a lot of the cynicism from the internet comes from. People don't want to give something a chance because they don't want to be perceived as being had or taken.
I feel like, I don't think that's new because of the internet. I think it's the same thing as like when you're a salesman.
Yes, thank you. Couched, not coached.
When you're a salesman, you need to learn how to handle rejection. And if you can't, you're not going to be a good salesman. And I almost feel like people are scared of being wrong.
Did they fire Vivek?
There's rumors.
Did they fire Vivek?
I don't know if I've seen any actual chat. I don't know if there's actual reporting.
H1 be gone with you?
Well, no, he announced he's going to run for, I think, governor of Ohio.
I thought that was a parody account.
I thought he officially announced. I could be wrong.
I thought that was like a parody account, and then he said, but it's not a bad idea. I could be wrong.
Maybe. I don't know. Because he was there at the inauguration, too. He's at all these events. So even if he's not going to be in Doge, he's still very much in that circle, talking to those guys. It's not like they hate the guy.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.